So why we want to have a special interest group for site reliability engineering? At least that's the working name for that one. I think there are two aspects of that. Something we can learn from each other what Keycloak can do today, and maybe some best practices on how to do things. And the other aspect that Dominic raised, there's also the aspect of expanding Keycloak's capabilities. You said you changed a lot, so maybe we can take it one step at a time, change it, and then make it better for everyone. There's another special interest group that's focusing on OAuth, and well, what that special interest group has shown, if you focus on a specific topic with a group of people, you will be able to make more progress if you would just create some pull requests or issues, and where you don't then see the interconnection of things. And when we work together as a group, we can make those, well, pull requests that we then agree on. We can discuss if it has a value or not. And that, yeah, all these ideas, best practices, we could write them down, get feedback in a fast manner, maybe within a week, and then get those pull requests merged. So this could be in the best of worlds, what this special interest group can bring. It can also bring new contributors to the Keycloak community. If this would only be, well, work from maintainers, we wouldn't have won so much here. So we just would have the additional overhead of meeting now and then. But it's also really to get some people into this, I'd say special interest group, contributing some time, contributing their code, getting into discussions and devoting some of their focus to the special interest group. I think this is how we would then make this a successful thing and deliver some value out of the time that we're spending here.
Yeah, I would add one more thing. So, like in Keycloak team, like there are a lot of people that we are doing the development and so on about the Keycloak, and we understand how the code works and so on. However, we are still lacking in some cases some feedback from the people that are using it, because we are not actively running Keycloak instances, and therefore in some cases we may be missing some point of views, and when we are doing some changes, it may slip our hands that this will do something bad for some people, because we don't know that people are using it this way or that way. So that this special interest group can be also about the feedback for us, about what we are doing, and not only about the capabilities that Keycloak have, but also about what can be done in future, or where we should spend our time as a compass for us.
And as a Keycloak project, we want to do that work upstream first. So as some of you might know, there's also a Red Hat build of Keycloak that the company I work for, which is Red Hat, sells with a subscription, or that we sell subscriptions to customers who run it. At the same time, we tell those people to stay within very strict bounds of what we actually tested and support. At the same time, the community is a lot more open and has developed, let's say, a lot of other ways of running Keycloak that are more inventive, which they support themselves. And so let's distill that as best practices and share it with the community in a nice way. Any thoughts on that from anybody on this call? You can either open your mic directly or raise your hand if somebody is already talking.
So I can say, from my perspective, this definitely makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. I'm just not sure how to structure this.
Yeah.
So basically, how to start. Right? So I could see that we, for example, define certain topics, and then kind of questions like, how do you monitor it? How do you deploy it? How do you whatever? And then we kind of do rounds on these to first of all get an idea of like what the people are actually like concerned with, where are their pain points and stuff. We could do this actually all at once, right? That like in every meeting, somebody comes in and says, hey, I'm going to present what I'm doing, like in all of these aspects and what I'm happy with and what I'm not happy with.
Right.
Yeah, I think in the beginning, it definitely makes sense to first get an idea of like what people are actually doing in this area.
So what you have in mind is then more like that people introduce their environments, maybe bring up a slide that shows some infrastructure and walk people through it. Something like this.
This would be a way to do it. It's a bit expensive, right? So it's
yes, it is. Yeah.
That's a big topic. I'd say it that way, right? I mean, other things would be we could just freely collect pain points, right? Like what are you super unhappy about with Keycloak, right? And then you try to kind of get some topics out of this and prioritize it. But this is all just like from the top of my head. I don't know if there are some more structured approaches on how to found something like this. Yeah. Micha?
Yeah, there's one more addition that it can be also about what you are happy about.
Yeah,
because
of
like
course.
maybe some other people would like to also be happy about it the same way as you are. So, and they
I'm
just
actually
don't
pretty
know.
happy, honestly. I mean, it can always be better, but I'm not super unhappy. So I really don't have that many pain points personally.
So if we would go through the rounds of this meeting, we have now 20 people on the call. Let's assume that 5 or 10 of these people here want to introduce their setups, like each one each week, and then we would be in like 3 months' time, have gone through all these different setups, and then we would say, so what do we take from it?
Yeah, exactly.
That would be difficult.
Then you just like stay there and say, "Wow, impressive, cool," right? And then
yeah. So then it might be better to focus on one specific topic. And the ideal topic would be something that is, it's probably small enough to show some progress, to make some progress either by documenting some best practices or enhancing Keycloak. It could be it needs to be something that people want to talk about because it's important, something maybe people want to contribute to. Yeah,
maybe somebody throws a topic into the ring or multiple topics, but in the light of start with something simple, it may not be zero downtime updates, right? This one is excluded.
Yeah, maybe if there's a small step that takes us there. But yeah, maybe just let's start collecting some topics. So you could start possible topics to tackle. That's actually an agenda point in this in this already. So if you could just start typing in here or open your mic, what would be the topics that you want to talk about? And let's spend maybe like 5 or 10 minutes identifying 2-3 topics that you would like to see, maybe in addition to those here, or maybe you also tell me why this. Well, let's do a bit of brainstorming for 5 minutes. Any topics that you think are valuable, small, and yeah, then even if you're not the one contributing to it, maybe you want to see somebody else who might then step up and say, yes, I want to contribute to that one.
Well, maybe how to configure the external infinite span will be a great topic.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to say it. So I would like the topic to expand a little further. Why do we need InfiniSpan at all?
Okay. Okay. I added a bit of understanding what it is doing today, which might not everybody know about this. Mohammed, you raise your hand.
Yeah, I put one plus to this configuring with external span, infinite span, which is I'm currently actually suffering a bit. We recently trying out Keycloak to move from Spring authorization server to Keycloak, and we are using, or we decided to use the external infinite span only to save the sessions on database, right? Because we don't want to use this new feature added recently to have it in the database because it's not stable, etc. But also suffering a lot to decide about the right configurations for it to avoid any memory issue, etc. And regarding the documentation for this or use cases, I see even in the community there is not too much resources
Right.
to have it. So I'm also happy to contribute on this by learnings we had so far. Although I'm still suffering, we didn't yet have the final configuration that fits to our traffic and use case.
Okay.
I would add, all these configuration questions come down to you are probably facing some non-functional requirements and you need to make sure you meet them, which probably means that upfront you have some kind of load test running that gives you at least an indication of whether you will be able to meet them or not. So like the general topic would be load testing Keycloak, I guess.
All right. Vasek?
Yeah, maybe related to that, I would be interested how folks are actually scaling Keycloak, and from both ends, from super big scaled up Keycloaks and maybe even someone has tiny deployments, something like IoT maybe, I don't know. So how folks scale Keycloak in production?
Like how big you can it could be actually two different topics, right? Because it's
Yeah,
the
how
opposite
big-
of the spectrum.
How big we can go and how small we can go.
There's something that Sebastian mentioned earlier. It was about metrics in Keycloak. It's a long outstanding topic that we, for example, don't provide so many metrics on logins, for example, or what's currently happening with Keycloak. There was some original thoughts here, like how to make Keycloak use less memory. Oh yeah, metrics was in there a little bit as well. How do I automate upgrades of Keycloak? Can we simplify how Keycloak is configured and set up? Anybody who wants to say yes, these topics are important to second this ideas? But Martin, you raised your hand first.
Yeah, it was not about the questions you were on it right now, but I was wondering if zero downtime deployment is a topic that is going to be addressed, or is it just too big for this kind of initiative?
I'd say it's too big to be the first topic discussed here. We need to show, well, we probably need to find our way of working first and show that, and probably know each other a bit better. And it would be good to have a small topic to start with to go through the full cycle with one topic, and maybe then even with a second topic, and then we can try to break down zero downtimes a bit more.
Okay.
I can also share. Maybe we could have a meeting like describing what we already have around zero downtime, and then we can identify what might be missing. Leona?
I think the topics you mentioned, or you wrote there, are quite important. At least the last point, especially for small instances, it's quite hard to find out if you don't know Keycloak very well how it's set up and what to configure for a client. Sometimes I think it's easier, like wizard style of setup would be better. Sometimes I don't know if it would actually be better, but it's interesting to discuss it at least.
So I'm writing down how to set up Keycloak for different clients. Is that, or?
Yeah, I think yes.
And you probably have in mind some common off-the-shelf software, like maybe a GitLab, maybe a Grafana, something like this. Okay.
Right. Also, I thought we have at our company, like we provide a Grafana for some customer, and we have in our software where we use OAuth dynamic client registration, we have their templates. Maybe it would be good to define a template in Keycloak and say, I want a client that uses this template with like some specific URLs.
Okay. Okay, Sebastian, you raised your hand next.
Yeah. I would like to forward a suggestion from Thomas, who is on the beach and not really able to speak because there's too much wind or something. I don't know. He suggested, let me see if I can paste this here, to use some, to try to create a business model canvas or something. Honestly, I don't exactly know how this would look like to make it a bit easier to structure the whole thing. I'm not sure, like, if you have a very good idea how this should look like, maybe we can switch to it. But if you don't, it's probably easier for now to stay with the list and then maybe do this next time.
Yeah, let's do a canvas next time. That might need at least 50 minutes preparation.
Yeah, okay.
So, Dominic, you might be next, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I just wanted to second the whole Keycloak configuration thing. What we found was that there is some different kinds of configuration inside Keycloak, which is all handled the same. You have like more technical stuff. You have more business stuff like authentication flows, dynamic configuration like clients, which change, in our case, almost daily, and aren't changed by ourselves as a platform team, but by other teams themselves. And also has like is used by something like an API gateway. So I think the whole configuration thing is really should be a big topic, and is a big possibility for simplification.
Okay. Would you then mince that differently, or do you just?
Yeah, I would suggest to make ourselves aware of what kind of configuration we have in Keycloak, and maybe discuss if it should all be treated the same, and if not, how to separate it. That is something I think would be.
Okay, I have more questions, but that might be outside of the brainstorming. Okay, Walter.
Right, I have a topic which is also related to configuration. Recently, there was a survey on configuration management tools used by community. Right. We tend to choose the Terraform provider for managing Realm configuration, clients, and some other resources. Yeah, so I'm not quite sure if the topic of configuration management tools fits the scope of this group. Yeah, but some regards about the configuration are already there, so maybe that's something we could also tackle.
Maybe the declarative config in general, because that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll put it down here. So looking at the watch, at least, let's close this brainstorming for now. So looking at these topics, I would just make a short show of hands. So if you think, are these topics something you would like to, well, if we would discuss these topics, maybe not all at the same time and one after the other. Would it be a meeting that you would come around? I don't know. Maybe every other week to discuss those and come and join these discussions and meetups. Is that something that you say is worth spending some of your time either listening in or then even better contributing to it? So raise your hand if yes, or keep your hand down if not. So I need 2, 4, 7, plus some thumbs up. Okay. So that's, I think, already a good result here. So lower all your hands at once now. So that's good to hear. So it seems to me that we are on a track that people want to spend some time on, which is great. Now it's like for some of these things, I think we could have a Keycloak Hour of Code where we could just describe how things are intended to be used from a maintainer's point of view, and if we could wrap it up as a half an hour talk from our side, and then having questions from the community, and then hopefully afterwards some action items on either improving the docs that it reflects how it should be used or resolve misunderstandings. Something that could be a possible format that just pops into my mind out of this. So I would say it would be a waste of time if we just present it, maybe even record it, and then just leave it there. It should be something that should change in the documentation afterwards, or some very good follow-up task to improve Keycloak on those topics. But that might be true for the InfiniSpan part of things, and that's probably where we should start with explaining why is there InfiniSpan and how it could be used. The other topics are more like, I don't know, which are then the valuable well, InfiniSpan is a big topic already, and it comes with lots of things that we're also trying to currently improve. So I would really like to share some more context before we dive into it. So all the other topics, so I'd like to exclude the InfiniSpan part of things, but then take the other topics now and ask for some voting if you think this is either a topic that you think is valuable and also small enough, or something that you also want to contribute to by either trying out some prototypes or actually help us coding it. So I'm now if you haven't opened the document yet, I ask you to open the document to cast your votes on the topics in a minute. The only thing I want to edit beforehand is separate out this two InfiniSpan things. You can also say this is the wrong thing. I do. Sorry.
Add a star or something afterwards?
Yes, I would say please add a plus or a star. So we can go with a star, as you said, at the very end. So I'd say we have 20 people on this call. We have 12 topics here. So you're allowed to do 2 pluses on these topics, and then afterwards we will count how many pluses we got all together. Let's see if Google Docs is then totally confused on this one, or we get some proper results. So take a minute to cast 2 votes on any 2 topics that you would like to get into more discussions, and then identify some action items on it. Okay, I still see pluses being added. We also see some head runners here. Give you one more
Maybe
minute.
just one comment. So for those who don't know where the document is, it's in the as pinned message if you open the messages in the Google Meet.
Oh yeah, thanks for pointing that out. All right, so it seems to me that the casting a vote has come to an end. So this is 5. This is 2. This is another 5. This is 1. Seven. This is 3. And this is another 5. So 5 seems to be a very popular number here. So we have a winner, it seems. That's going to be declarative configuration. Configuration as code for Keycloak. Let's give it a color with two follow-ups. How can we simplify Keycloak? And also how to do metrics.
I somewhat have the feeling that the declarative configuration as code stuff is not directly related to SRE. It's really more like how you put a client in there and how you configure flows and all that stuff. So it might be related to like automated deployment and stuff, but it's not really this running it reliably and so on. I mean, I don't want to kill that topic. If people are interested in it, we can discuss it, but I have the feeling people have a somewhat different problem there.
Okay. Okay.
But we can pick it up if it's currently not addressed anywhere else. So
yeah.
Well, maybe we can pick it up from a point of view that like it seems that this is something that people want to do, and maybe we can offer some simplification for that, like to make the configuration, declarative configuration, simpler for them, simpler to use, because currently maybe not. That's why people are interested.
Right.
Yeah, we know it's one of the pain points, and we are actually starting to prototype something around that. But it would be awesome to hear from also others the pain points, what they are facing, but I agree with Sebastian. It is not for the SRE topic maybe, and we also sense it inside the Keycloak team that way, that it's not solved by the SRE team. But it's related, at least, to say the least.
We have this survey out, and we got a lot of answers for that survey. We still plan to do a summary of that survey and publish it. I think that's on Thomas' desk, who's probably at the beach at the moment. Maybe that would be a good starting point once we have the results of the survey summarized, and then dive a bit deeper into the topic. Right. So then it leaves 3 runners up. Can we simplify how Keycloak is configured and set up? What are the right metrics of Keycloak to watch, and how to visualize them in a dashboard? And load testing Keycloak. For load testing Keycloak, I could start out with an introduction like of what Keycloak benchmark project can already do, and we can then have a follow-up. That would be a suggestion here, and you could then say, I don't know, thumbs up, or maybe you thought of something different around this topic, or maybe you already have ideas where this one is lacking.
No, actually, I could imagine that lots of people don't even know it, that there is actually like a test harness already that could be used.
Yeah.
We actually don't use it for wild reasons. But I would, even personally, I would be interested in learning a bit more. Maybe we can switch. It's mostly a lack of basically running Gatling in Azure that we have to use something different. So.
Okay, but on the other side, Gatling has partly a strange license, so we are also looking for alternatives at some point. So
go to JMeter.
No, I'm just maybe kidding. Not.
But that's what Azure is supporting.
Then it's a great tool. Anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry, just kidding. Anyway, so about load testing, is there anybody on this call who would like to present their kind of load testing setup? Maybe, or Michael?
Okay. I just wanted to add that this load testing or presenting about Keycloak benchmark, it's again fits more into Keycloak Hour of Code. Part, and then like the SRE group can be about how to, I don't know, how to improve what we have.
Would anybody like to, well, is it this load testing of Keycloak? Is it more asking that you want to hear more about tools because you think you would need one yourself? Or is it that you say you already load testing, you want to share it with a group that others can benefit from it?
I mean, I could at least share what we did. I mean, we have some setup that just needs a lot of memory and we needed to find out where it breaks. So it wasn't actually a load test, more a stress test. I wouldn't take our setup as a good example how to do it. But maybe I can definitely share some lessons learned and maybe it's also like how not to do it. I don't know. There's definitely a lot of things we could improve about it. I'm not telling anybody to do it the same way.
Maybe it would be great to have like 3 people presenting their approaches in like 10 or 15 minutes as a spotlight, and then we could figure out what's then currently missing, what would be the biggest improvement for the community out of that. Maybe there are common struggles. So anybody who wants to share their experience with load testing or what worked for them, what didn't?
I mean, we also did a lot of load testing using Keycloak benchmark and also some self-written stuff. So I can talk a little bit about that and why Keycloak benchmark wasn't enough for us.
Yeah, that would be great. So having different perspective, this is what this group is then all about. That would be great. Do we then maybe get a 4th person who wants to share their load testing experience, what they tried out?
In my experience, in my experience, in Avianca airline, we use JMeter to perform a load test, and we use Dynatrace to monitoring the memory and garbage collection, etc.
Okay. Is that a setup you would like to share as a summary with some people on such a call, or is it something that you think you need to ask first others for approval, or I don't
know? I don't have the setup to share right now, but I can find it. Yeah, I can share. Yeah.
All right. So that sounds like a great topic then. Could we get a similar set of people for the metrics of Keycloak? What people are watching currently when they have Keycloak running in a production environment? Anybody who has dashboards? That would be
We have dashboards. We have way
dashboards.
Too many dashboards, if you ask me.
Okay. It sounds actually a bit of a lighter topic than going into load testing so much, sharing the dashboards that we have. Anybody else who would be happy to share dashboards in the future call?
I mean, we have a single dashboard, so it's not really that.
How did you do that? Our plan was that we create very detailed dashboards, and when we finally find out what matters, we create a single super cool dashboard out of it, but we never came to that. So we have plenty of dashboards.
a single Keycloak centric dashboard. We also we run it in Kubernetes. We also have a lot of Kubernetes dashboards, but yeah.
Okay. So who else would like? Is there any more people want to share dashboard experience with dashboard or with Keycloak? All right, so it's probably load testing. It is for now. Can we simplify how Keycloak is configured and set up? As I'm working on the inside of Keycloak, I'd say I'd really love to hear maybe a story from somebody who has recently installed the first instance of Keycloak or came newly to Keycloak, and who can still remember the pains they had when they were doing such a setup. That's one end of the spectrum, and the other end of the spectrum is maybe you have already a running setup of Keycloak and you're struggling with it. And yet you share your pain points, and from the pain points we can then take it to solutions. So I'm wondering who would then like to share such a setup with us in a future upcoming call.
I guess I can probably share what I explained to others, what they should set up, or at least the general part of which settings they should probably change or set it all.
Yeah, that would be cool. And as you said, you inherited the Keycloak setup, right? Or
not really inherit, but sometimes I inherit them. Like at work, it's quite awful. We have like the different environments, and they don't really have a shared setup because it's not really easily possible, and realm imports are not the right thing for it. But in the smaller deployments, I have like a mental list of what settings should probably be changed.
Okay. How about others? Do you anybody wants to share where they struggle with configuring Keycloak in their recent setups or in their current setup? Okay, so looking also on the people who want to contribute to those items, it seems that we have more contributors on load testing than on the other two, with 5 points. So I'd say that probably load testing it is to start with. And that might eventually get us to maybe metrics soon after that, after load testing, because you want to get insights as well. How would we then? We also identified some more possible topics where we could explain some InfiniSpan or other topics. We found some volunteers. So how would we want to meet in the future? Do you think Meetup is the right thing to announce the next event? Is this a convenient or more or less convenient time zone, and we could stick to it as it is today? To have maybe another meetup, yeah, on another Monday, it is for me at least, Monday afternoon. It seems we're a bit heavy on the, I would say, Central European time zone with those participants. I'm not sure from what other time zones people are actually joining in.
Should we make a doodle?
We could make a doodle for that. Do we need our own mailing list for this? Or do we need to have a Slack channel to communicate? Do we need to have a Git repository to share stuff? do you have any preference on those? Like, what should be our asynchronous communication channel? What should be like a repository for things that we discuss on?
I would probably start with Slack, because that's what the OAuth SIG is also doing, and then we'll see if we need anything else.
So, yeah. So then let's probably, anyone make a different suggestion here, or give it a start? I have so many Slack things going on, but I'm saying yes, let's do another Slack channel. Okay, so let's then use Slack as an asynchronous method of communication. Meetup to announce, well, we could still hijack the Keycloak Hour of Code meetup. It still feels a bit of hijacking because the focus was intended to be a bit different. But let's hijack it for now until we come up with something better. The Keycloak, so the special interest group of Keycloak OIDC, they don't have any, they just announce them in the Slack channel and that's it. So they are nothing, they don't need anything else. Let's see if that's enough. Not sure. Let's discuss in the Slack. Yeah, Mohammed?
Yes, for Keycloak configuration as a code, I already wrote some on div.2, some bosses on how I personally configure Keycloak using Terraform. At least I can share this process on the Slack channel asynchronously if people find it useful, and if it requires that I can present it or speak about it, I'm happy to do that. But at least I don't have more than what's written in the blog post. But yeah, I can share asynchronously, and then we can meet about it if it's really necessary.
Okay, very good. So I'm just creating the channel now. So we now have this channel, Slack channel, Keycloak SRE in the CNCF Slack. Oh, SIG. All right.
Sorry, I did SIG because like following what the OAuth SIG has.
Thank you.
So
I'm changing it. And from there, I will then create a poll about different meet times. The next meeting will probably be on the same time zone spot. And yeah, it was great. Well, we probably start with load testing and hear from like different perspective what people are currently doing with load testing. And from there, it will take us probably to the next topics afterwards. Right. So let's try to close on time on this one. Let's give it another 2 minutes of appreciations for people. So I'm very, very happy that so many people joined today and stayed on the call. So it seemed to all the 20 people on this call, it was very interesting to stay here and listen in. I'm very happy for all the contributions and the topics, and also the first volunteers who are considering sharing their experience with Keycloak from their environments. And I'm very looking forward to hear more about it. Anybody else want to share some thoughts on today's meeting?
Thanks for organizing this, Alex.
Thanks. You're all welcome. Then let it be the first of many meetings to come that give value to Keycloak in the community. And see you around.